John was an ordinary man living in a quiet town. He had a small house at the end of Maple Street and a simple life working at a local office. But John loved cooking and often dreamed of having someone who could help him in the kitchen, someone who could make his life easier and share the joy of food. One evening, John sat at his desk scrolling through his emails. He stopped when he noticed a small ad for posting jobs online. An idea sparked in his mind. Why not post a job for a cook? He smiled and typed quickly. Wanted, a cook for my home, experience preferred but not necessary, friendly and trustworthy. John read the message again and felt satisfied. It was simple, honest, and clear. He clicked post and leaned back in his chair, unaware that this small action would change his life forever. The next day, everything seemed normal. Birds sang outside, the sun shone on his small garden, and neighbors waved as they passed. But John noticed something strange. A soft, shimmering light appeared in the corner of his kitchen, flickering like tiny stars. He rubbed his eyes, thinking it was his imagination. He tried to ignore it and went about his day, cooking breakfast and enjoying his coffee. But every time he looked toward the kitchen corner, the light seemed closer, almost like it was moving toward him. A shiver ran down his spine, but he told himself it was probably just a reflection. Later that afternoon, John received his first response to the job ad. He expected a normal application from a human, someone with a resume and a few references. But what arrived was unusual, a message with strange symbols and patterns that seemed to glow on his screen. John frowned, unable to understand it. The symbols moved slightly, almost like they were alive. John leaned closer, feeling both curious and uneasy. The screen went dark for a moment, and then a small, soft sound came. From the living room, like a whisper, almost like someone calling his name. Heart beating faster, John walked toward the living room. Every step made him nervous. The air felt different, warmer, and somehow heavier. As he reached the door, the light in the kitchen suddenly grew brighter, almost blinding. He stopped, shielding his eyes, and then he heard a knock. Not the usual polite knock of a neighbor or delivery man, but something gentle, slow, and deliberate, almost like the knock itself was alive. John froze. His mind raced with questions. Who could it be at this hour? Why do they feel strange? He slowly opened the door, expecting perhaps a lost traveler or a prankster. But what he saw made him step back. His jaw dropped, and his hands trembled. Standing in front of him was a tall figure, unlike anything he had seen before. Its skin had a soft glow, and its eyes shone with an unusual light, and cradled in its arms was a small baby, but not a normal baby. Its skin shimmered like the morning sun, and tiny patterns moved across its body, almost like living stars. The baby looked at John, its eyes intelligent, curious, and oddly familiar. John blinked, unsure if he was dreaming. The figure made soft, melodic sounds, as if trying to communicate without words. John noticed the baby move slightly, reaching toward him. Its tiny hand glowed faintly, and a warm sensation spread through his chest. He felt a strange connection, like he had met them before in a dream. The street outside was quiet, but the air felt charged. Something powerful and unknown was happening. John's mind raced. Should he close the door? Should he call someone? But something deep inside told him to stay calm, to trust the figure and the baby. He stepped aside, gesturing them to come in. The figure moved gracefully into the house, setting the baby gently on a soft chair. John could feel a room changing. The air seemed lighter, filled with a gentle hum that made his hair stand on end. John took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. I wasn't expecting anyone, he said, his voice shaking slightly. The figure made another soft sound, tilting its head, almost like a nod. John realized they understood him, even if he could not understand them. He closed the door behind them and leaned against it, his heart pounding. His life, so ordinary a few hours ago, was now filled with mystery, suspense, and something beyond human understanding. Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the town. But inside, a new, extraordinary story had begun, and John knew, deep in his heart, that nothing would ever be the same again. The job that he posted, meant for a simple cook, had invited something unimaginable into his life. And as the night settled around the house, the soft glow of the alien mother and her baby filled the room with a promise of adventure, danger, and wonder that John had never dreamed of. John could hardly believe what he was seeing. The alien mother stood in his small living room, her glowing skin soft and calming, yet strange patterns ran across her arms and shoulders, moving like living waves. The baby sat quietly on the chair, looking around with wide, sparkling eyes, full of intelligence that no human baby could have. John took a hesitant step forward, his mind racing. He wanted to ask questions, but words felt useless. How could he communicate with someone not of this world? The alien mother tilted her head, and in a soft, melodic sound she seemed to beckon him closer. John swallowed hard, curiosity stronger than fear. The baby stretched its tiny arms toward John, and he felt a warm, gentle pulse through his hands as he reached out. It was as if the baby was trying to speak without words. A deep connection stirred in him, a feeling that went beyond logic, as if this little being understood him perfectly. John glanced at the alien mother, noticing her eyes flicker with concern. There was urgency in her gaze, something she was afraid of. He realized she was not just visiting, she was hiding, running from something. But what? His heart pounded as he tried to calm himself, telling himself to stay brave. The mother moved closer to the baby, cradling it protectively. She made soft gestures, pointing toward the corner of the room where the shimmering light still hovered. John watched in awe as the light responded, forming shapes almost like letters. But they were not human letters. They moved and twisted in ways he could not understand. John reached out slowly, trying to touch the glowing shapes, and a warm wave ran through him. He felt memories, images, and emotions he had never known. Flashes of distant planets, starry skies, and cities made of light filled his mind. The baby cooed softly, and John realized that it was sharing a part of its world with him. He stepped back, overwhelmed but also fascinated. I don't know if I can help you," he said quietly, feeling his voice shake. The mother tilted her head, and the soft glow of her body seemed to pulse in rhythm with the baby's coos. John felt the meaning clearly. She trusted him, and she needed him. Outside, the shadows grew longer as night fell. The street was empty, but a faint hum in the air made John's skin tingle. It felt like something, or someone, was watching, waiting. He glanced at the window and saw a shadow flit past, quick and deliberate. But when he looked again, it was gone. John turned back to the alien mother. Are you safe here?" he asked. Though he already sensed the answer was no, the soft hum in the room grew louder, and the baby's eyes glowed brighter, almost warning him of approaching danger. The mother moved to the center of the room, standing protectively in front of the baby. She reached into a small pouch at her side and pulled out a device that looked like a crystal, shimmering with faint light. She tapped it gently, and suddenly a holographic map appeared in the air, showing stars, planets, and strange symbols. John's eyes widened, realizing this was more than just a mother and her child. "This is where you came from?" he asked, pointing at the glowing map. The mother nodded slowly, her melodic sounds soft and urgent. John could feel the fear behind her gestures. Someone was chasing them, and they had nowhere else to go. The baby moved its hand toward the map, and the symbols shifted, revealing a path. John felt a strange energy in the room, almost like the baby was asking him to help them follow this path. He looked at the mother, unsure, yet he could see hope in her eyes, a silent plea for trust, for courage. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed from the front door, startling John. His heart raced, and he instinctively moved in front of the baby. The alien mother's glow brightened, as if warning him of the danger outside. John could hear the faint sound of heavy footsteps, deliberate and slow, approaching the house. Fear and adrenaline surged through him. He grabbed a heavy lamp from the table, ready to defend them, but the mother held up a hand, her glow calming him. She gestured for him to listen, and he could hear faint voices outside, speaking in a language he did not know, but the tone was harsh, threatening, and urgent. John realized they were being hunted, but by whom or what, he could not tell. The alien mother whispered a soft sound, almost like a lullaby, and the baby cooed, creating a strange, protective energy in the room. John felt courage rising within him. He would protect them, no matter what. He glanced at the door again, weighing his options. Run, hide, or try to communicate. The mother moved closer to him, her hug, and on his shoulder, and John felt a wave of trust. He nodded slowly, silently promising that he would not fail. Whatever this was, he was now part of it. The night outside grew darker, the hum of the city fading into silence. John could feel that his life had changed forever. The ordinary man who posted a job ad for a cook had now become the guardian of an alien mother and her extraordinary child. And in the shadows beyond his door, danger waited patiently, ready to strike. But John was ready too. His heart beat with determination, curiosity, and a new sense of purpose. Whatever came next, he would face it, not as a man alone, but as part of something far bigger than himself. The adventure had only just begun, and the universe was watching. John could hardly sleep that night. The alien mother and her baby stayed in his living room, softly glowing, filling the space with an almost magical warmth. Every time he looked at them, he felt a strange mix of fear and fascination. He kept asking himself questions. Where did they come from? Why were they here? And most importantly, could he trust them? The baby, though small, seemed wise beyond its years. Its sparkling eyes followed John wherever he went, almost studying him. Occasionally, it would reach out a tiny hand, and a soft pulse of light would pass through his palm, filling him with warmth and understanding he could not explain. It felt like the baby was trying to communicate directly to his mind. John decided he had to learn more, to understand them, to protect them. He watched carefully as the mother prepared a simple meal using ingredients from his kitchen. Her hands moved gracefully, almost floating above the counters, and the food shimmered with faint light, as if infused with energy. John blinked, realizing he had never seen cooking like this before. The mother made soft melodic sounds, and John noticed she pointed to objects and gestured, trying to explain something. He mimicked her gestures slowly, pointing, touching, and moving his hands, and to his amazement, she responded with a faint glow that pulsed faster when he got it right. It was as if they were forming a new language, one of gestures, sounds, and energy. The baby laughed softly, a sound like chimes, and John felt a wave of joy wash over him. Then the baby's tiny hands began to glow brighter, showing images in the air, scenes of distant planets, cities of light, and creatures he had never imagined. John gasped, realizing that the baby could share visions from its world. "Your world is real?" he whispered, and the mother tilted her head, nodding slowly, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and sadness. John could sense that they were running from something dangerous, something that would not hesitate to harm them. He clenched his fists, silently promising that he would do everything to keep them safe. The next morning, John tried a simple experiment. He placed objects on the floor and watched how the baby reacted. To his surprise, the baby's touch caused the objects to float, rotate, or emit small lights. John's eyes widened. He realized the baby had powers, abilities far beyond human understanding. Yet the mother looked worried, signaling that these powers must be used carefully. Days passed, and John began to understand their needs and habits. He learned that the mother communicated through a combination of gestures and glowing patterns, and that the baby's powers were not just tricks, but a form of advanced communication and protection. John marveled at how intelligent they were, far beyond what he had ever imagined, but the danger was never far away. Each evening, strange sounds echoed outside, shadows moved quickly past the windows, and at times the faint hum of technology could be heard in the distance. The mother's glow would brighten at these moments, and the baby would cry softly, warning him that the threat was near. One evening, John tried to speak directly to the mother. "I want to help you," he said, his voice trembling slightly. She reached out and touched his hand, and a wave of understanding passed through him. He could feel her fear, her love for the baby, and her gratitude for his trust. John realized that words were not enough, but trust, courage, and empathy could create a bond stronger than any language. The mother then gestured to a small device on her belt, shaped like a crystal. She tapped it lightly, and a soft projection appeared, showing points of light moving across the sky. John realized it was a map, a path through the stars, and with a shiver, he understood that this map was a key to their survival, guiding them to safety and perhaps a new home. John studied the map, fascinated and overwhelmed. The baby reached out its hand, and some of the lights floated toward him, forming new patterns he could understand. It was as if the baby was teaching him to read the map. Slowly, he began to see the routes, the dangers, and the places of refuge. Each night, he practiced with the baby, learning this strange cosmic language. Through these lessons, John began to change. He was no longer just an ordinary man posting a job ad. He was a guardian, a student of an alien world, and a bridge between species. He felt proud, yet the weight of responsibility pressed on him, knowing that failure could mean disaster for the mother and her child. Then, one night, the humming outside grew louder, more deliberate. The mother's glow flared bright, and the baby's tiny body shined like a star. John's heart raced as he peered through the window, spotting figures moving with purpose, shadows larger and faster than humans, clearly searching for the aliens. The mother gestured urgently toward the map, signaling that it was time to move. John nodded, his mind racing with plans. He understood that their learning and bond had prepared them for what was coming. But fear still lingered, and the unknown threat outside made every second critical. He took a deep breath and said quietly, "I will protect you." The mother's eyes softened, and the baby reached out a glowing hand toward him, as if confirming that together, they could face whatever came next. The night was silent once more, but tension hung in the air, waiting for the next move. John realized that this was only the beginning, that understanding and learning were just the first steps in a journey that would take them far beyond Earth. And as he watched the mother and child together, he felt hope, determination, and a new purpose. Something extraordinary had entered his life, and he would never be the same again. The night air was thick with tension. John could feel it pressing against the walls of his small house. The alien mother stood close to the baby, her soft glow illuminating the room in pale, soothing light. Yet even with their light, shadows moved outside, creeping along the edges of the windows and doors. Every sound, the creak of a branch, the rustle of leaves, made John's heart race. He paced quietly, trying to think of a plan. He had learned so much from the mother and the baby, but nothing could prepare him for what was coming. Outside, the hum of strange machines grew louder and faint lights flickered in the darkness. John's mind raced, trying to understand who or what was hunting them and why. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the back of the house. Shards of glass from a broken window scattered across the floor. The mother's glow flared bright, and the baby cried softly, reaching out toward John. Their fear was palpable, yet there was a calm strength in them that he hadn't noticed before. John grabbed a sturdy chair and moved to block the broken window. The wind blew in, carrying a faint metallic smell that made his stomach turn. Then he heard it, a low mechanical growl, unlike anything he had heard before. It was coming closer, moving carefully, deliberately, as if it knew he was ready for it. The mother stepped in front of the baby, her body glowing brighter, forming a shield of light. John could see the energy from her hands ripple outward, protecting the baby. He realized that this was more than just defense. It was a warning, a challenge. Something was testing them, testing him. From the shadows, a figure emerged, humanoid but unlike any human he had seen. Its eyes glowed faint red, and metallic armor covered its body. The creature moved silently, scanning the room with precision. John's heart pounded, yet a strange feeling of determination filled him. He could not allow this intruder to harm them. He raised the chair, ready to act, but the mother made a soft, melodic sound, and John stopped, sensing her warning. She gestured toward the baby, and a faint glow spread from its tiny hands. The objects in the room lifted slowly into the air, circling around the intruder in a mesmerizing display. The creature paused, tilting its head, seemingly analyzing the strange energy. John realized that the baby's powers were not just playful tricks. They could influence and manipulate matter, and even control attention. The intruder's movements became hesitant, and John felt a surge of hope. Then, the creature lunged forward, faster than human eyes could follow. John shouted, swinging the chair, but the mother's glowing shield intercepted the strike. A sharp pulse of energy shot through the room, knocking the creature back. Shards of broken glass floated around like slow-motion stars, reflecting the strange protect. Eye of light. John's adrenaline surged, and he felt courage he didn't know he had. He grabbed the baby, holding it close, feeling its warmth and the pulse of energy running through him. Together, he and the mother used gestures and glows to push the intruder back. The baby's small hands created a wave of light that sent the figure stumbling, retreating. Outside, the sound of more movement echoed, as if reinforcements were coming. The mother gestured urgently to John, indicating that they had to move. But the intruder was still nearby, its red eyes scanning, calculating, and waiting for an opportunity. John's mind raced, trying to find a way to escape without leaving them vulnerable. He remembered the map the mother had shown him, the path of stars and lights, pointing toward a hidden place of safety. He pointed toward it, trying to communicate. The mother nodded, understanding his thought immediately. The baby glowed brightly, guiding them toward the back exit, a small hidden door John had never noticed. With careful steps, John led them through the narrow corridor, every sense alert. Every shadow seemed to stretch. Every sound seemed louder. The intruder's red glow appeared briefly in the broken window, then disappeared, waiting, testing their resolve. The baby cooed softly, its light illuminating the path, giving John courage. They reached the door, and John pushed it open quietly, letting the mother and the baby step out first. He followed closely, the night air cool against his skin. The yard was empty, but the sense of being watched never left him. They moved quickly but silently, guided by the baby's faint glow, weaving through the shadows toward the distant trees. Behind them, the hum of the intruder's machines grew faint, then louder again, as if it was circling, hunting, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. John's heart pounded, but he felt a strange connection onto the baby and the mother, a bond of trust and understanding that gave him strength. By the time they reached the edge of the woods, John realized they had survived the first real challenge. The mother glowed softly, and the baby's tiny hand rested gently on his arm. John could feel the warmth and the power flowing from them, a reassurance that together they could face even greater threats. The night was still dark, and the path ahead uncertain. But John knew one thing: his ordinary life had vanished, replaced by something extraordinary, and the first challenge had shown him that bravery, trust, and unity could overcome even the most impossible odds. As they disappeared into the shadows of the forest, the intruder's red eyes glimmered faintly in the distance, waiting, calculating, and promising that the next encounter would be even more dangerous. John tightened his grip on the baby and whispered softly, "We'll face whatever comes next, together." And with that, The first true adventure had begun, the stakes higher than ever, and the story far from over. The forest was quiet, yet alive, shadows shifting as if watching John, the alien mother, and her baby move carefully among the trees. The night air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of pine and earth, but John could feel a tension that made his heart race. Every step forward was filled with uncertainty, yet the baby's faint glow gave them guidance, lighting the path with a soft, otherworldly light. John glanced at the mother, her eyes soft and glowing, revealing a strange mix of fear and trust. He realized that despite their differences, they were forming a bond, an understanding beyond words. The baby reached out to John, and as he held the tiny glowing hand, he felt a warmth, a reassurance, as if the child was silently saying, "We trust you." They paused by a small stream, the water reflecting the baby's shimmering glow. The mother crouched beside it, gesturing toward the water, showing John images of distant planets, cities of light, and strange creatures. John watched, amazed at the beauty of a world so far beyond his imagination. The baby floated slightly above the mother's arms, tiny lights swirling around it like stars. John realized that the mother and child had escaped something dangerous, something that had followed them across the stars. He remembered the intruder from the night before, and a shiver ran down his spine. Yet now, away from the city, he felt a strange sense of safety and a growing connection with them. The mother made soft melodic sounds, pointing to the baby and then to John. He nodded slowly, trying to understand, and in that moment, a small holographic projection appeared above the baby's hand, showing a map of their journey. The baby's glowing hand traced the route through the stars, and John felt a thrill of understanding. He realized that their escape had just begun, and the journey ahead would be dangerous. As they moved deeper into the forest, John asked softly, "Where are you from?" The mother responded with a series of gentle tones, and the baby's glow flickered in rhythm. Almost as if translating the sounds into images in John's mind, he saw flashes of a planet filled with light, cities floating above oceans, and beings like them, beautiful, powerful, and fragile. The mother then gestured toward her chest, revealing a small, smooth device, shining faintly. John could feel the weight of what it represented, a key, a memory, a secret of their past. The baby reached out, and the device projected a vision, showing a war-torn planet, cities burning and countless others fleeing for survival. John's heart ached as he realized the stakes were far higher than he had imagined. "You were running from this?" John whispered, his voice barely audible. The mother nodded, her glow dimming slightly, showing sorrow and exhaustion. John felt a surge of determination. This was no longer just a matter of curiosity or adventure. He had to help them survive, not just for them, but perhaps for the future of their worlds. They walked for hours, moving silently, guided by the baby's glow. Every sound of the forest made John's pulse quicken, branches snapping under unseen footsteps, the distant howl of animals and the hum of strange machines in the far distance reminded him that danger was never far. Yet with each step, he grew more confident, learning to read the signals the mother and baby gave him, understanding their gestures and glows. At a small clearing, they stopped to rest. The mother held the baby close, singing soft melodic tones that resonated through the air. John sat nearby, watching them, feeling a bond that went beyond words. He realized that he was becoming part of a family, part of something greater than himself, something extraordinary. Then, without warning, the baby's glow intensified, and a small vibration ran through the ground. John's heart leapt. He looked toward the tree line and saw faint red glimmers in the darkness. The intruders were close, searching, relentless, yet something in the baby's glow seemed to push them back, creating a protective aura. The mother gestured urgently toward John, indicating that they had to move. They followed the glowing path of the baby through the trees, twisting and turning to avoid detection. John's mind raced, thinking of strategies, hiding places, and ways to keep them safe. His ordinary life felt like a distant memory, replaced by adrenaline, courage, and a strange sense of purpose. During a brief pause, John asked softly, "Is there something you're not telling me?" The mother's glow dimmed, and she hesitated, then gestured toward the baby's forehead, revealing a small, intricate symbol. John understood immediately. This was no ordinary child, but a key, a being capable of changing worlds, of bridging species, of protecting life across galaxies. Fear and awe washed over him. He realized that their journey was not just about survival, but about secrets, power, and destiny. The mother's trust in him weighed heavily, yet gave him strength. He promised silently that he would not fail, that he would protect them at all costs. As dawn began to break, faint light filtering through the trees, John, the mother, and the baby continued their journey, tired but determined. The forest seemed alive, guiding them, testing them, and preparing them for the challenges ahead. John knew that their bond, their understanding, and the secrets they carried would define the next steps of their adventure. And with every glowing step, he realized that ordinary humans could do extraordinary things, that courage, trust, and love could shine brighter than any star. And the next challenge, whatever it was, would test them all, pushing them beyond fear, toward destiny, and perhaps a future neither of them had imagined. The forest was thick and dark, but John could see the faint glow of the baby guiding their path. Every rustle, every shadow made his heart race, yet he knew they had no choice. They had to move, or the hunters would catch them before they could reach safety. The mother held the baby close, her glow brightening as if lending John courage. He felt the pulse of energy from them, strange and warm, filling him with determination. They crept silently between trees, moving faster, yet carefully, mindful of every sound and movement. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed foo. Rom behind, the hunters had found them. Their red eyes glimmered in the dark, and faint hums of machinery signaled pursuit. John's heart pounded as adrenaline surged through him. He tightened his grip on the baby, ready for anything. The mother raised her hand, sending out a ripple of light. The trees around them seemed to shimmer, branches bending slightly as if responding. The hunters hesitated, unsure, their advanced technology momentarily confused by the alien energy. John realized that together, their human courage and the baby's powers could create a real advantage. They ran, diving over roots and fallen logs, the mother's glow illuminating the uneven ground. The baby's small hands left trails of floating lights, marking their path and confusing the hunters. John shouted directions, guiding them through narrow paths he knew from childhood. Yet now every step felt critical. Every mistake could cost them dearly. The first hunter appeared, metallic armor glinting in the faint light. It lunged toward them with incredible speed. John instinctively grabbed a heavy branch and swung, but before it could strike, the mother raised a hand, and a pulse of energy knocked the hunter back, sending it crashing into a tree, shards of metal flying. John gasped, his heart racing, realizing the true strength of the mother and the baby. He felt a new respect and awe for their abilities. Yet there was no time to rest. More hunters were coming, their numbers increasing with every step. The forest seemed to close around them, a maze of shadows and light. They reached a steep ravine, the only path ahead narrow and dangerous. John felt panic rising, but the mother gestured, guiding him and the baby carefully across. The baby's glow seemed to stabilize them, lifting their spirits and filling them with courage. Step by step they crossed, the hunters watching from the edge, unable to follow through the narrow paths. Once on the other side, John noticed a faint light in the distance, a sign of the hidden location the mother had shown him on the map. They pushed forward, exhaustion weighing heavily, yet the urgency of escape kept them moving. Each rustle, each shadow reminded John that the hunters were relentless and mistakes could be fatal. Suddenly, a loud roar came from above, and John looked up to see a hovercraft descending, its searchlights cutting through the darkness, scanning the forest floor. The hunters had reinforcements, far more dangerous than anything they had faced. John's mind raced, trying to find a hiding spot, but the terrain offered little cover. The mother whispered a soft melody, and the baby's glow intensified, sending waves of light outward, creating a shimmering dome around them. The hovercraft's light seemed confused, unable to penetrate the energy field. John felt a thrill of hope, realizing the baby's power could protect them in ways he had never imagined. They ran again, this time guided by the baby's light, weaving through the trees and underbrush. The hovercraft followed, but the energy shield gave them just enough advantage to stay ahead. John's lungs burned, his legs ached, yet he never faltered, knowing the mother and baby were counting on him. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached a small clearing, hidden from view, just as the map had shown. The mother knelt, placing the baby carefully on a soft patch of moss, and John felt relief wash over him. They had made it, at least for now. The baby's glow dimmed slightly, as if sensing temporary safety. John leaned against a tree, catching his breath, looking at them both with awe. He had never imagined that an ordinary man posting a simple job ad could end up in a situation like this. Yet here he was, part of an extraordinary adventure, connected to beings from another world, the MOT. Her gestured to John, pointing toward the horizon, showing faint lights that marked the next part of their journey. He understood immediately. The escape was not over, the journey continued, but for the first time he felt hope, courage, and a bond that could face any challenge. As night began to fade, John, the mother, and the baby prepared for the next leg of their escape. The forest around them seemed to breathe, alive with anticipation. The hunters were still out there, but they had survived, and the baby's power, combined with human courage, had proven unstoppable. John whispered softly, holding the baby's tiny hand, "We'll make it, no matter what." The mother's glow pulsed gently in agreement, and the baby cooed, sending tiny ripples of light across the clearing. It was a small moment of peace in a night full of danger, and John realized that together, They could face anything, and as the first light of dawn touched the trees, John felt the truth of their journey. They were no longer just fugitives, but a team, a family bound by trust, courage, and destiny. The escape had begun, but the real adventure, the fight for survival and hope, was just starting. The morning sun rose slowly over the distant hills, painting the forest in soft gold and orange. John, the alien mother, and the baby had finally reached a hidden valley, the place the mother had shown him on the map. It was a serene, untouched spot, surrounded by high cliffs and thick trees, the perfect refuge from their pursuers. John sank to the ground, exhausted, but his heart was filled with relief and awe. The mother placed the baby gently on a soft patch of grass, and its glow pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. The air seemed to hum with energy, quiet yet powerful, and John realized this place was more than just a hiding spot. It was a sanctuary. The mother gestured toward the baby, and John felt a strange, warm sensation in his chest. The tiny being reached out, and a holographic image appeared above its hand, showing stars, planets, and galaxies in perfect detail. John watched, fascinated, as the baby traced lines between worlds, connecting dots, revealing paths and secrets. The mother spoke in soft, melodic tones, her voice like music, and John felt the meaning in his mind. She revealed that the baby was no ordinary child, but a key, a being capable of creating harmony between worlds. Its powers could protect civilizations, heal destruction, and even prevent wars. John's heart raced as he realized the weight of their mission. "You are part of this now," John whispered, almost afraid to speak. The mother nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting trust and hope. John looked at the baby, whose tiny hands traced the lines of light above, sending ripples across the air. It was teaching him the responsibility they carried, and he felt both fear and courage. The forest around them was quiet, yet alive. As if aware of the revelation, John realized that their journey was not just about survival, but about understanding, protecting, and preparing for something far greater than themselves. He had gone from a man posting a simple job ad to a guardian of a being that could change the universe. The mother gestured to John to come closer, showing him images of her home planet. The city of light, floating above oceans of energy, had been torn apart by war, leaving the mother and her child as the last hope for survival and peace. John's chest tightened as he realized the stakes. This was not just their story. It was a story of worlds, of life itself. The baby cooed softly, reaching toward John, and a pulse of light ran through him, showing him visions of the path ahead. They would need to travel, to protect the baby from those who sought to capture or harm it, and to prepare humanity for what was coming. John felt awe and determination, knowing he could not fail. Suddenly, a faint sound reached them from the forest beyond. The hunters were not far behind, but John saw something different, a hesitation in their movement. Perhaps they had underestimated the bond between the mother, the baby, and himself. John realized that courage, trust, and cleverness were just as important as strength and power. The mother gestured for John to take the baby's hand, and he felt a rush of energy, a connection that went beyond words. He understood that together they could face any threat, guide civilizations, and protect life in ways he had never imagined. The baby's glow brightened, and John smiled, feeling hope, responsibility, and belonging all at once. Hours passed as they rested in the valley, yet John's mind was active, thinking of the world beyond, of the ordinary life he had left behind. He realized that life would never be the same, that he had been chosen for a purpose far beyond his understanding. The mother's soft glow reassured him, and the baby cooed, filling the air with warmth and light. As the sun climbed higher, John stood, looking at the horizon, a new sense of purpose burning inside him. "We have work to do," he whispered, the mother nodding in agreement, and the baby's glow pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He knew they had survived challenges, learned from each other, and formed a bond stronger than any danger. The revelation was clear. This was only the beginning. The baby's powers, the mother's wisdom, and John's courage would guide them through future challenges, protect the innocent, and perhaps one day bring peace across worlds. John felt pride, fear, and hope all at once, understanding that ordinary humans could achieve extraordinary things. As they prepared to leave the sanctuary, the mother touched John's arm gently, her glow soft and reassuring. The baby floated slightly, its hands tracing patterns in the air, revealing the path ahead. John realized that his life had changed forever, and he would never be ordinary again. The valley behind them was quiet, yet full of energy. A witness to their journey, John took a deep breath, holding the baby close, feeling the warmth and power of life in his hands. "We will face whatever comes next," he whispered, and the mother's glow pulsed in agreement. And with that, they stepped forward into the unknown. Together, as a family, as guardians, as a force of hope for worlds far beyond imagination. Their journey had started with a simple job ad, yet it had led to revelation, purpose, and a destiny that would change the universe forever.